New at 6, feeding hungry children is a good thing, but the way it's done in Dothan, perhaps not so much. And the reason appears to be fraud. News 4's Ken Curtis joining us live from City Hall. Ken, what are the people there saying about this messy matter?
Well, Carmen, they're not saying a lot right now about what appears to be gross misconduct of our hard-earned taxpayer money. These children are getting a nutritious meal from the city of Dothan. Meals complements of a feeding program funded by federal dollars. But Dothan's feeding program has a black eye these days, one inflicted by serious fraud allegations.
Did you talk to Miss Wingfield?
This woman is Stephanie Wingfield. She used to manage the feeding program. That is, until her superiors accused her of lying on paperwork required for the city to be reimbursed the cost of meals. There are also allegations she rigged the bidding process for this restaurant that ultimately won that bid. And we're told several other city employees have also departed amid the scandal. So I asked City Hall if that's true, but they refuse to say, citing ongoing proceedings. And the city is also not commenting on the allegations of paperwork padding. There are also questions if many of those meals charged for were even prepared. No one has been arrested, but there is an ongoing criminal investigation. As for higher-ups who signed off on that questionable paperwork, they claim to have been unaware of what was going on until an audit revealed possible corruption. I'm told $1 million and perhaps up to $2 million may be missing. Now, I've asked the city of Dothan for the feeding program financials, and late this afternoon, spokesperson Vincent told me I'll receive those shortly, and when I get them, you'll be the first to know. I'm live at the Civic Center, or I should say the Roy M. Triggers Municipal Building. Ken Curtis, your hometown news leader.
Ken, thank you for that report. Ms. Wingfield, who managed the feeding program, has appealed her termination. The City Personnel Board has not decided if she will be put back on the job. New at 6, the city of Dothan admits it's embarrassed by a scandal in its after-school feeding program, but it believes everything would have been fine if not for one rogue employee. News 4's investigative reporter Ken Curtis with new developments in this ongoing criminal investigation.
On Wednesday, the Dothan Personnel Board
I make a motion
voted unanimously to uphold the firing of Stephanie Wingfield.
This is very damaging to the city to know that we've had an employee do something like this. So
City Manager Kevin Cowper claims Wingfield is a bad apple in the barrel.
The paperwork was such that it looked very good when in fact it wasn't.
As feeding program coordinator, Wingfield allegedly jiggled figures at a multi-million-dollar after-school nutrition program for at-risk children. Wingfield's calculations used to determine how many federal dollars Dothan got reimbursed.
So we need people that are accountants.
Stephanie Wingfield now among targets of a criminal investigation. So is this restaurant that provided the meals. Neither have been charged. Dothan Police Chief Will Benny and his investigators are relying on the FBI's massive resources. But he's adamant, Benny is, that reports of police no longer being involved are incorrect. He says they're just looking for backup in a complex case.
It has a lot of moving parts, a lot of paperwork.
Well, you know, we obviously have always got to improve our procedures.
Allison Hall is director of Dothan Leisure Services, the city department that oversees feeding programs. She admits mistakes have been made, but no matter the bad side, there's a good. Children who otherwise would have gone to bed hungry, if not for receiving nutritious meals.
Children have been fed in this program since long before all of us in this room were here. This program's been ongoing, and they've been fed during the summer and in our after-school program.
A mismanaged program. Nobody denies that.
Well, hindsight is 20/20.
Mismanagement and a criminal investigation that stretches beyond one employee.
Any idea where this is going?
No, we'll shake it all out, find out exactly what happened, and go from there.
But to get there could take a while. In Dothan, Ken Curtis, your hometown news leader.
Stephanie Wingfield's attorney takes issue with the city's claims that she falsified reports. Richard Rice says the personal board was wrong to uphold her termination. His claim is testimony during her appeal hearing revealed no wrongdoing. In fact, he tells News 4 the decision to terminate Wingfield came before an investigation of possible wrongdoing. Rice believes that children who received free meals under Wingfield's supervision will suffer without her compassionate care. He plans to continue working for Wingfield's vindication. The next legal step would be a lawsuit in Houston County Court. Another guy got fired, and a top official who was suspended is walking away from his job. These shocking developments revealed in an internal memo that alleges misconduct in Dothan City's administered child nutrition program. News 4's investigative reporter Ken Curtis is digging to make sure taxpayers know what's going on at City Hall.
5 people have been fired because of alleged corruption in the city of Dothan's after-school nutrition program. This document obtained by News 4 shows 3 of them, feeding site supervisors, were disciplined but kept their jobs. The investigation claims they falsified reports on the number of children who receive free meals. Their boss, Stephanie Wingfield, this email claims, ordered them to fraudulently complete that paperwork. As for Wingfield, she got fired. But this scandal goes up the ladder to Assistant Leisure Services Director Roy Kitts. That's Wingfield's supervisor. Kitts, despite being ordered to be more hands-on, neglected his duties, according to City Personnel Director Delvit McKay. Kitts, a 30-year city employee, will retire amid allegations of cheating in the city's feeding program. And as for that program, it is now the target of an FBI investigation. Among the allegations is that Wingfield rigged the bidding process by tipping off one restaurant's bid to a competitor. Ultimately, the bid went to this restaurant that was paid about $3 million taxpayer dollars in less than 2 years.
The city refuses to release information about those implicated in the feeding program. We got what we got from that email. City spokesperson Vincent says it's a sensitive matter, too sensitive to put out in the public. Guys?
All right, Ken, thank you for that report. And so far, no one has been charged, and there is no timetable to complete this investigation. There are new developments in Dothan's feeding scandal. The FBI has swooped in and taken over a criminal investigation. News 4's Ken Curtis with details you'll see only right here on News 4.
In 2019, Dothan commissioners awarded a contract to this restaurant, a contract for breakfast at Tammy's to provide after-school meals to low-income children, a $263,000 contract, or it was to begin with. But then came COVID, and with the pandemic, increased government spending. This document shows breakfast at Tammy's was paid $2.7 million over about 3 years. But a competitor claims the way Tammy's got the feeding contract is illegal. Mama T's owner alleges the city employee who managed the feeding program cheated. Stephanie Wingfield, she said, revealed bids to her competitors before they were opened. Wingfield lost her job, and feeding program corruption concerns sparked an investigation. Multiple sources have confirmed to me the FBI has taken over that probe. The agency will neither confirm nor deny its involvement. Dothan's reimbursement for its feeding program ultimately comes from the federal government. In Dothan, Ken Curtis, your hometown news leader.
Now, to be clear, nobody has been charged in the feeding investigation. Former feeding program manager Stephanie Wingfield is appealing her termination. A message seeking comment from Breakfast at Tammy's has not been answered.
Have been indicted on charges they took something good and made it something evil. And the same thing that happened there may have happened in Dothan. News 4's Ken Curtis explains the significance.
In Minneapolis, 47 people are charged with stealing $250 million from a child nutrition program. Indictments that allege those who prepared and served meals to children from low-income families let greed get the best of them.
Their goal was to make as much money for themselves as they could while falsely claiming to feed children during the pandemic. Before long, the scheme that began with a simple idea in March of 2020 grew to become the largest pandemic fraud in the United States.
Those 47 arrests in Minnesota came after a 9-month FBI investigation. And the FBI is also investigating Dothan's feeding program. Here, the city served the meals prepared by a private restaurant. One city worker has been fired and several others disciplined, and that restaurant, the one that prepared the meals, according to multiple sources, they are also the target of the FBI investigation. That agency working alongside Dothan police to get to the bottom of what happened here, to see if it's the same thing that happened in Minnesota.
In an earlier report, we said Dothan City Schools now prepares food for the Dothan feeding program that actually does not begin until October 1st. Until then, Breakfast at Tammy's continues to provide food as it has done since 2019. The city of Dothan filed incorrect documents to receive millions in federal reimbursements. That paperwork had the signature of a person who's not been employed in years. Investigative reporter Ken Curtis uncovers new information in a City Hall scandal.
The city of Dothan fronts expenses for its program that provides meals and snacks to children from low-income families. To get its money back, the city submits these forms to the state of Alabama. And for years, those forms had the electronic signature of Larry Patrick. That's a problem, because Larry Patrick retired in 2013 from the Department of Leisure Services that oversees Dothan's feeding program. But month after month, year after year, and even into 2022, without his knowledge, Patrick's signature appears on the official reimbursement paperwork, documents that got the city millions. This is the latest black eye for the city of Dothan, and a program riddled with claims of misconduct and rumblings of fraud. An internal email obtained by News 4 last week shows 5 employees have been disciplined, 1 suspended, and feeding program coordinator Stephanie Wingfield fired among allegations that she masterminded the incorrect paperwork. And it is because of Wingfield that Patrick's signature incorrectly appeared on the documents for over 8 years. That's what City Manager Kevin Cowper told us in this email, saying Ms. Wingfield did not update login credentials for online submittals after she became responsible for the program upon Larry Patrick's retirement. Based on Wingfield's paperwork, this restaurant that provided meals was paid millions, sometimes receiving as much as $185,000 in a single month. The FBI is in the midst of a criminal investigation, but no charges have been filed. In Dothan, Ken Curtis, your hometown news leader.
City Manager Kevin Cowper tells News 4 that a recent overhaul of the feeding program removed Larry Patrick's name from that paperwork. A woman who lost her government job claims her bosses railroaded her. In new allegations, Stephanie Wingfield, the woman who ran an embattled nutrition program, makes several disturbing claims. And tonight, she's put something else into play. Here's News 4's court and investigative reporter Ken Curtis.
In this court document, Stephanie Wingfield makes bold allegations, claims that her Dothan Leisure Services Department bosses demeaned her in the presence of co-workers, also alleging that white supervisors disrespected black workers. And Wingfield accuses the city of illegally using COVID funds to pay employees in its child nutrition program. She supervised that program until a few months ago when she got fired. The city accused her of cooking the books and improperly submitting documents needed to receive millions in federal reimbursements for the child feeding program. Allegations so serious that the FBI is investigating potential fraud. But now there is something new. Wingfield insinuating a bad check she wrote may have influenced her city job. She got arrested for that check in May, though she said it was all due to an error. A few days after her arrest, she paid the money back. But Wingfield claims on the very day she told bosses about that check, they told her that she had been accused of rigging city bids. After the Dothan Personnel Board upheld her firing, Wingfield sued and hopes a judge will put her back to work. In Dothan, Ken Curtis, your hometown news leader.
Dothan City Manager Kevin Calper tells News 4 he's unable to comment on our story because the matter is in litigation.